You find me in town this morning. I'm waiting for my ride-on lawnmower wheel to be fixed. They're going to put a tube in it this time apparently, so hopefully that'll help maybe. This will be the third time this particular wheel's tire has been repaired, so we'll see. But in better news, although maybe that's not bad news just yet, in other news, I picked up my drive belt for the ride-on. So 2 things wrong with the ride-on, but hopefully that'll help fix that problem. I am back at home with my lawnmower goodies. The tyre, which has been repaired this time, I think this is about putting a tube in it. I don't know what was in or not in it before, but apparently that might help. And I've got this belt, which I checked and double checked. It's different than the one that's on there, but apparently this is the latest version. John Deere have upgraded to this from what's currently on there, so I can only hope that that's because this is going to be more durable and better. It's the same length but slightly different dimensions, so we'll see how we go. I think I might start with the wheel though, because I'll be happier knowing that that's properly on the ground and not resting on blocks, and then I'll take it from there. Right, phase 1 complete, which is getting it back on. The only way that I could remember which way around it went is because it's handily got this little valve. So now what I need to try and do is put these things on back in reverse. I may stumble at this block. They will have to do this last time because I couldn't get it on. I think this is an aftermarket thing which goes to protect the innards, or it's off a different model because this one is a different colour than the others and does not go on or come off easily. Anyway, I shall see what I can do. Didn't quite manage that. Can get that cap back on, so I'm turning my attention to the drive belt, and there's actually quite complicated system going on here. So my this is why I'm replacing it, because it's snapped. But I know that this went all the way around this wheel because I've had to put it back on there again. And then there is this wheel and that wheel, and there's one there and there's one behind you that you can't see underneath this. So in order to access that, I'm assuming what I'm going to have to do is unscrew this, because you can see maybe the belts going inside there, and I don't know how on earth else I'm supposed to get it on unless I take that off. But what I'm trying to do is record where they go, because otherwise I'll forget. So you can see it comes out of that one and goes round the inside of this one, and it goes into here and comes out and goes round the outside of that one. So basically I need to put it on there, put it on here, put it on the inside of those two, and then wrap it round the big one. Right. For most normal people, a piece of cake. For most normal, the small times, this could be interesting. But I filmed it. I made the mistake of just going ahead and doing stuff, but now I've got a record, so hopefully if I forget what it should look like, I can watch this back and remind myself. Fortunately, these are coming out quite easily, which implies to me this isn't this mower's first time at the radio in terms of getting this drive belt replaced. I find if you're doing something on a mower that's sort of factory fresh, all this stuff's like so tight, it's almost humanly impossible to do anything about it. And yes, I know there's probably a better tool, but this is the tool that I have, and it's doing its thing. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this and hopefully update you when I've finished it and it's all perfect. As ever, it's being made not that easy, in the sense that the one I need here is well inside. There we go. There. It's well inside and difficult to get to. This is the other sort of cover, which as far as I can tell I'm going to have to be able to remove in order to get the drive belt on this wheel here. I'm going to attempt to use this socket, which I can get in there, but whether or not I can turn it, I just don't know. So let's see how this goes. That was successful. There's actually two, but the other one's even harder to get to, so I'm hoping I've got enough freedom now to access that to mean that I can leave the other one be. Now it's time to see if I can put the new drive belt on. This is what the drive belt looks like, all unfurled. Such a little thing, such a simple thing. But without it, the blades don't turn and the mower, it's just a fancy thing for towing trailers, so important component. I think that's done it. It seems to be pretty much how it was before I put the new belt on. I know the belt's the right way round because this lettering's on the outside. The inside of it's got a slightly different shape, so it can run in these discs. It's a little slack now, but that's because the cutting deck blades are off, like disengaged. If I push this lever, that engages them, and then you can see the belts. The slack on the belts, largely released, but obviously not entirely. It still needs to be able to run. I'm pretty sure that's all the right way. Time will tell. I would like to be able to start it up and try it, but until the cap is back on the other wheel, I'm a little loath to, in case I accidentally the things come off the wheel and the wheel falls off, and then I can't find the things that hold the wheel on. Fingers crossed though. The hardest part was I had to loosen this. You may be able to see there's like a guide which keeps the belt in place, and on this side there's no gap, so I was able to sort of force it through there, sort of the gap there, but on this one it's very flush to this wheel, so I had to loosen this to be able to loosen this wheel, and that was very, very tight. But I did manage to do it. I'll let you know how it goes when I've had a chance to start it up and see what happens. Oh, and this is the one I replaced. You can see where it's sheared off there, and actually if you look at it, there's quite possibly another couple of places where if it wasn't going to go there, it would have gone in these other places instead. So, but this is quite a common thing you have to be able to do, and it is, to be fair, pretty straightforward. And now now that I've done it, all those nuts and bolts or whatever are done up to what I like to call Carla strength, which means that I stand a flying chance of being able to undo them again. If they were done up to what I call will strength, you can forget it. Now that doesn't mean that these are just going to fly off. They are done up quite tightly, but Will has a tendency to be able to do things up so tightly that I am unable to undo them, which isn't good for me when I'm here on my own. Nevertheless, hopefully, if I ever have to do this again, if it's worked, I'll be in a better position to be able to do that than I was this time around. Will came home and did indeed succeed in getting that cap on, and as you may be able to see, probably not, I was able to mow the lawn. I just trialled my handiwork by doing the front part of the house lawns, just in case it went wrong and I'd have less far to walk. But it worked. As you can see, it's a beautiful evening. I'm going in, give my hands a wash, and settle down for the evening. I'll catch up with you another time. I'm not going to update you on the Melomel every 5 seconds, but I thought you might like to see how it's looking practically a week later. So as you can see from the airlock, evidence of fermentation as it gently bubbles away. Fermentation actually was so aggressive at one point it blew the whole airlock bung out. But it's started to settle down now. You can see the liquid has risen. So something's happening. But I wanted to introduce you to Melomel 2. I've literally just made this. I went and picked the blackberries very early this morning, and I've put them in the demijohn. Now, the reason I decided to do this was because, well, number one, there's such an abundance of blackberries I am able to, but also I sort of felt using the yeast, the winemaking yeast in here, was a bit cheaty. And so, because there's such an abundance of fruit, and also because I wanted to compare how the Melomel with extra yeast and the Melomel with only natural yeast go, if this one works, which it may or may not, but if this one does start to ferment, I'm interested to see if there's a difference in flavour between the one without yeast and the one that had the additional yeast. So really it's just an experiment to see the difference adding the extra yeast makes. And since I have the equipment and I have the fruit, it just seemed a shame not to try the experiment. I will update you if this starts to do anything, I think, and then as I mentioned previously, hopefully the next time I update you on the Melomel will be when I'm drinking it at Wintermess. I'm off on the road again, hence the jiggly camera footage. Just walking past a field of cattle. Just in case you were wondering, yes, I am keeping this up. If you didn't know, for the past couple of years, Will's family and I have participated in a half marathon up a mountain in Hobart called the Point to Pinnacle. And I've decided that this year I'd like to do an even better time than last year. And the way I'm going about that is putting in some extra training. What I'm trying to do at the moment is just get my setup right. So I've been experimenting with different shoes, even different socks, different ways for me to hold my phone, different meals. I've got some banana snacks with me. This is the first walk I've done where I've had snacks. So I'll see if that gives me a boost of energy as I get closer to home. And then once I've got my setup right, that's when I'm going to start working on my technique. Last month, I had a terrible situation where my shoes ate my socks. When I got home eventually, gigantic blisters on my heels. So I've learnt my lesson. Wearing different socks. I've got my eye on some hiking leggings which have pockets. This walk I'm experimenting with this bum bag. It's not something I've done before, but I needed somewhere to put my apple. I've also experimented with a strap on my arm to carry my phone, but with this bum bag. I'm putting you inside that. Hopefully the next couple of walks I'll get it right. So this is the third follow-up training walk I've done since the point to Pinnacle, and I'm doing a 10-kilometre walk, largely uphill, a few flatter sections but almost entirely uphill, mimicking the point to Pinnacle event. And I'm on my way now from the bottom up to the waterfall. So I just thought I'd update you. I'm not going to bring you with me on this walk, but just in case you were wondering, maybe once I've got my setup right, I'll talk you through it, just in case this is something you're interested in doing yourselves. I'll be able to give you some recommendations.